from Sharknado to the true burning question of the day, and all puns intended, what do you think of when I say instant ramen? A quick meal on the run, or bliss in a bowl, maybe? How about crunchy noodles that soften after a few minutes of cooking? Or maybe you just notice the garish packaging. Whatever it is, odds are I'm guessing that you don't think of instant ramen as high cuisine. Hans Lenisch, better known as the Ramen Raider, disagrees. He's tried and reviewed more than 1,100 different types of instant ramen from around the world, cataloging their intricacies, their strengths and flaws on his website. Welcome to the show, Hans.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, what's your process for reviewing ramen? Is it a daily taste test? Do you compare and contrast, or do you just savor one brand at a time?
I pretty much just do one brand at a time, and what I do is I take a photo of the package, I open it up, I take photos of everything inside, scan the back, and once I have pretty much the entire posting ready, then I go and cook. And once I've cooked the noodles and the broth, I sample those, and that's where I do my review. And then I'll add different things to it, kind of to make the final picture look more gourmet, and usually these meals are my breakfast, so...
So you start the day with ramen. Start the day right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you figure in the issue of the soup and the interplay between the soup and the noodle? I mean, is ramen all about noodles, or is it about soup, or is it about the mix?
Both. I review not only instant ramen, but, instant noodles are kind of universal. I tried a brand the other day from Estonia. I try them often from Indonesia. In Indonesia, there's no broth in most of their varieties. They're just fried noodles with some flavor packets that are all like a stir noodle. You stir everything in. I think the interplay between noodles and broth is very key if you're having a soupy noodle. If the broth is too salty and it has a really nice noodle, it just kind of cancels each other out.
And what's a nice noodle?
A nice noodle is a noodle that has a good chew to it. It doesn't crumble. If it's really spongy and doesn't have much character to it, it's just not very good in my book.
You're making me both hungry and a little sick at the same time. What are your current top ramen picks?
Well, right now, I've got a top 10 list that came out about a month and a half ago. The top two right now are both by the same brand, and they're both from Singapore. It's a brand called Prima Taste, and they make a laksa ramen and a curry ramen. And the noodles are of a little bit higher quality. They take actually 7 minutes to prepare, so they're not as instant. And they come, instead of with like a little flavor packet, they come with two big pouch kind of packets, one having a coconut powder mix and the other having either a curry paste or the laksa paste, and they're excellent. The number one is the laksa, and when it's all prepared, the broth has kind of a light cream kind of color to it with little beads of hot chili oil that kind of dance around the top, and they look like little tiny rubies. It's really neat looking, and it tastes really great.
Oh, it sounds delicious, and that's really high end. So what's your least favorite?
My least favorite is by a company called Baija, and they're from the Sichuan province in China, and it's called Single Noble Black Bone Chicken Flavor, and it comes in a cup. And the noodles are made from sweet potato, and the broth is thick, almost like oil. Second place on that list is by the same brand, and it's called Spicy Fei Chang flavor, which is fried pork intestine flavor. Not really palatable to me. However, there's a grocery store right next to me that actually has both of those varieties on sale right now, so apparently they're selling pretty good.
I think you referred to that second one as having a strong dirt and urine scent.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's what it was reminiscent for me.
Well, M's really fighting words. Was there an international incident?
Well, the Chinese didn't have that big of a problem with it. They figured that my palate wasn't as logical as theirs, but Taiwan, they had a problem with it. There were a couple varieties that were on there, and they hurled a lot of insults. They got really mad. I was on their national news quite a few times, In fact, they had a problem with not being on the top 10, and then they really had a problem with 2 on the bottom 10 list.
And what's the problem with Taiwan's noodles?
Nothing really, but I've had 1,100 varieties, and of those, there have been 10 that I think are my favorite, and 10 that I think are the worst. There was one that had a really, I would guess, kind of an industrial crankcase oil kind of fake beef flavor that I didn't like at all. And as it turns out, you can't even get that version in Taiwan. And so they were clamoring about something they hadn't even tried.
Well, ramen it's a national dish in Japan and throughout China and Taiwan. And you've really stirred up, now I'm trying to avoid all the ramen, all the soup cliches, but you've come under a lot of fire. I know one commenter on your website said that your reviews are similar to having someone raised on Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill wine, critiquing the world's array of fine wines. So how do you defend yourself against accusations like that?
Well, my agenda are my taste buds. And if I like how it tastes, then it'll get a higher rating. If I don't, it won't. And, it takes a lot of work to sit and have the same kind of meal every day, but then again, it's kind of a cheap meal, especially when companies and readers will be kind and send different new varieties to sample. I mean, it's over 1,100, and I think yesterday was number 1,123, so, and I don't see an end in sight.
Hans Lehne, she's the Ramen Raider. Thanks so much for this. It was great talking with you, Hans.
Thank you.
I haven't craved it in a really long time, but I have to say, after that conversation, I really kind of want to go out and get a bowl of ramen. If you've got a favorite bowl of ramen that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear from you anytime. You can leave it at kpcc.org/take2.